you? I hope you're having a great day. I'm so excited for today's conversation. The key reason why you're still struggling with your emotional eating or binge eating triggers. Now, I want to have this conversation because I think it's so important for us to stop being hard on ourselves. If you're still giving into your emotional eating triggers, if you are giving into binge eating triggers, if you're telling yourself, oh, I just need to try harder on my diet, I need to have more willpower, right? And you're being hard on yourself because you don't know why you can't seem to stop using food. Ciao, hello. Welcome everyone as you're coming in. I really want to break this down. Why can't you stop emotionally eating? Why can't you catch your triggers? Why is this cycle something you're continuing to deal with, struggle with, fight with? It feels like a fight, kind of, right? Like fighting with food, fighting with your body. And I really want to help you understand today the key reason why you're still continuing to give into emotional eating and binge eating. So if any of you want to share in the chat your thoughts as to why you think you're still in this, let me know. Feel free to comment below. And I am going to also at the end today talk about a very powerful 3-day masterclass that is going to be coming up mid-May. That's going to give you all the answers with what I'm going to be talking about today. It is a fight, right? Yeah, and it doesn't have to be. And that's what I really want to get across today is if we don't know why we're continuing to give in to self-sabotage with food, how are we supposed to get out of it? And that's what I really want to get into today. So let's talk about this. A lot of people, and I think this is so innocent because this used to be me too, and tell me if you can relate to this, but when I used to struggle with binging and emotional eating, my focus, my attention, what I was focusing on with my relationship with food was one of the reasons why I kept giving into binge eating, because I kept thinking that following a certain diet, a certain kind of meal plan, or a certain kind of eating style was going to help me gain control with food. And once I had control with food, then the binge eating and the emotional eating would stop. I thought that that was the answer. Yet I tried all the eating styles. I went vegan, I went paleo, I went raw, right? Cutting out certain foods, thinking that, oh my gosh, I just need to gain control with food and then I won't binge anymore. But it was after I tried certain eating styles or cutting certain foods out, and I was still emotionally eating and binging. I was still binging and emotionally eating now on healthier foods, like eating a whole bag of cashews, a whole jar of nut butter, and 10 bananas, right? And I was like, okay, this isn't about cutting out more foods. So, and it's not about willpower because I'm trying to have willpower on these diets and it's not working. So I just want to give you reassurance. If you're still fighting with food in your body or struggling with emotional eating, it's got nothing to do with trying to have more willpower. It's not about you trying to try harder on your diet. That is not actually going to help you fully address emotional eating and binge eating and what's triggering you and why you can't stop. Does that make sense? But we hang on to what we know. So you hang on to continuing to try the different diets. You hang on to the convincing of, oh, I just need more willpower. I need to try harder, right? We hang on to, it's about weight loss. I need to lose weight. So there's something deeper here to explore. Now, what I started to realize when the diets, the quick fixes, the eating styles were not actually helping me, it's cold, they weren't actually helping me gain traction to heal my relationship with food, to catch and stop the binge eating triggers, to catch and stop the emotional eating triggers. And so what I started to realize is there's a missing piece here. There's something I'm missing because I keep getting triggered. I keep giving into these triggers. These triggers are continuing to, push me into emotional eating and binge eating. I'm still losing control. What's going on? Why is this happening? And so it's really when I started to go, okay, there's got to be something else for me to look at here. I'm obviously missing something because if the diet worked, if the eating style worked, I wouldn't still be losing control. So the first aha that I had was actually, it's not about having control with food. It's about building awareness as to, well, why am I triggered? What's triggering me? Why am I using food as a coping mechanism? Because for me, one of the reasons why I wanted control is because I felt completely out of control with food in my body, and I had a fear of losing control with food, and I had a fear of gaining weight, right? Losing control with my body. And so I thought control was the answer. I thought if I can just have control with food, I won't binge, I won't emotionally eat, and then everything is going to be good, and I'll lose the weight, and then I'll finally be happy, right? There's that whole dialogue. I'll lose the weight, then I'll finally be happy, and then I can live my life the way that I want to, even though losing the weight didn't make me happier, and it was about so much more, because if I had lost weight again, and then I was afraid of gaining weight back, and afraid of it's only a matter of time before I lose control of food again, right? Like that whole thing would be in the back of my mind. And every time I tried to have control, I lost control. So it's not actually about having control with food. What it is really about instead is building awareness. But we put our focus in the direction of diets, meal plans, weight loss, eating styles, burning a certain amount of calories, counting calories, right? Willpower, trying to have control. When really all of that, none of that is actually going to work. None of that is going to help you heal your relationship with food. What's really going to help is actually starting to understand, well, why are you binging in the first place? Why are you emotionally eating in the first place? Do you know where this behavior has come from? Do you understand what keeps fueling and triggering and influencing you to keep using food as a coping mechanism? Do you understand why you're binging and emotionally eating? Because if you don't understand why you're binging or emotionally eating, if you don't understand your triggers and you don't understand what's at the root of this behavior, you can continue all the diets, quick fixes, eating styles, weight loss programs, weigh-ins, Jenny Craig's Weight Watchers, workout plans in the world, and I guarantee you will continue to go through and struggle with emotional eating and binge eating because you're not addressing the roots. You're not understanding and or building awareness around the roots. Now, that's not your fault because we're not taught how to build awareness and how to understand the roots, and that's obviously why I'm here and why helping women heal binge eating and emotional eating is one of my zones of genius, because I did it myself, and now having my business for 10 years and helping over 1,600 women fully heal this, I have a really good idea of what's missing and why women continue to stay stuck in the cycle. So I'm curious for you, like, why do you think you're stuck in the cycle? From what I'm sharing so far, do you lack awareness with where the behavior came from? Do you lack awareness with what's triggering you to keep going into binging or emotionally eating? Because, women come to me like, what's triggering you? Do you know what's triggering you? And 9 times out of 10, they're like, no, I don't really understand what's triggering me. And for the other 10%, they're like, yeah, I know what's triggering me. It's stress or boredom, which is great awareness, but it goes a lot deeper than stress and boredom. Okay. So the key reason that you're still struggling with binge eating or emotional eating triggers is likely because you lack awareness about what created the behavior and what your triggers are. Now, you may know some of your triggers. However, from experience, we don't usually know all our triggers. And if we don't know all of our triggers that are triggering us to binge or emotionally eat, how are we supposed to catch them and better understand them so then you can give yourself what you really need instead of food? Because normally it's not food that we need. We're using food as the crutch, the distractor, the numbing, and the coping mechanism. So when we start to really deeply understand what our unique set of triggers are, then guess what? We get to start going, okay, let me understand why this is a trigger. Where did this come from? Now that I'm better understanding my trigger and what this is really about, now I can actually start working on healing that, working through that, whatever that is. Sarah, I'm glad this is resonating for you. Ladies, is this resonating for you? This is huge, and this is literally the first thing that I do with all my one-on-one clients that are struggling with binging and emotional eating, is we must start building awareness around this. This is what helped me fully start to shift and gain traction healing my relationship with food. I literally started a list of triggers. I remember living in my little apartment like 14 years ago. I pulled out a piece of paper from my printer and I started writing down my triggers. And then I literally had a list of like 40 triggers, and I was like, holy crap. I did not realize that these many things were triggering me to binge. And I didn't write them all down at once. It was over like months. A trigger would happen, like, wow, that's a trigger. I'm going to write that down and start to understand why it's a trigger. And then what I started to notice is I would put my trigger sheet everywhere and when I started to feel triggered, I'd go to my list instead of just going to food right away. And it started to help me stop the binge or prevent the binge or the emotional eating episode before it happened. And then the emotional eating and the binge triggers lessened, and how often it was happening lessened. And then I'd have a trigger and I'd give into it, and there's something more for me to learn there. But this is a pivotal part of us healing our relationship with food, is first understanding where the behaviors came from, and then really understanding what is triggering us and why. And now what a lot of people don't realize, and I didn't realize this either until I started healing myself 14 years ago, and then I'm coaching, lots and lots and lots of women on this, is that there's not just emotional triggers. It's not just emotional things that are triggering us to emotionally eat or binge, right? Yes, it could be things like stress, overwhelm, boredom, loneliness. These are all potential emotional eating, binge eating triggers that you may have. However, there is a very, massive accumulation of emotional triggers, and then there's also physical triggers, physical imbalances going on in the body that can trigger emotional eating. Different gut issues, hormone issues, nervous system imbalance, blood sugar issues, cravings, certain ingredients in foods, being an empath, being sensitive to energy. So there's a wide array of physical, emotional, and energetic triggers that may be triggering you to emotionally eat or binge. But if you don't know these triggers and you don't know how to build awareness to understand them, how are you supposed to stop? How are you supposed to stop the trigger in its tracks? And how are you supposed to then understand what the trigger is and then give yourself what you really need? This is the gap. This is the gap. And then the other massive thing that fuels binging and emotional eating is the all or nothing mentality and this ego negative voice chatter going on in the brain that convinces you why you should go to food, why you shouldn't go to food, that makes you feel shame and guilty for going to food, justifies why, it's been a bad day so you should just eat. So this ego voice is another huge piece that is fueling and amplifying the self-sabotage with food. But if we don't know about the ego, if we don't know and understand the all or nothing mentality, if we don't understand our physical, emotional, and energetic emotional eating and binge triggers, how are you supposed to stop it? So my whole point here is don't be so hard on yourself, because this is layers, this is complex, and this takes some time to understand. So the key reason you're still struggling with emotionally eating and binging is the lack of awareness around not understanding all the things that are triggering you, not understanding there's not just emotional triggers, but physical and energetic. There's an all or nothing mentality. There is diet conditioning and food rules, and there is the ego voice. This is a lot of different things happening all at once, right? And then, we have the eating of the food and getting the dopamine high. We have patterning in the brain. There's so many things, honestly, in the moment that are working against us that make it so easy to just want to give into food again. And I get it. I was there for so long, right? I'm not kidding in my bio when it says I gained and lost 1,000 pounds in 5 years, because I was up 30, 40 pounds every few months, losing control again, right? And gaining the weight, and then trying to grasp at control with food and exercise and losing the weight, but then I'd lose control again because I didn't know my triggers. I didn't understand the ego. I didn't know I was in an all or nothing mentality. I didn't know that I had diet and food rules that were fueling self-sabotage with food. I didn't realize that the more I restricted, the more I wanted to rebel and keep going to food. So now you're going, okay, it's good to know this, but now what the heck do I do? Okay, and I'm so amped for this. I wasn't going to share this until next week, but I'm like, I can't wait. I'm too excited, because this is going to be a golden opportunity for you to take the next step to food and body freedom, and to take the next step to start addressing, understanding, building awareness around what's triggering you to go to food, so you can start catching it, stopping it, and giving yourself what you really need instead, which is truly the first step in healing your relationship with food. So I have created a 3-day masterclass series that will be dropping mid-May. And it is called Triggers. Understanding the roots of your emotional eating and binge eating triggers. And in this 3-day live masterclass, it's 3 90-minute sessions. I want to go deep. I want to get into as much detail as I can for you. And I want to share with you the dozens and dozens and dozens of potential triggers that may be going on for you so that you can start catching them and identifying them and working through them and giving yourself what you really need. So day 1 of this masterclass, and the link is in my link tree. So if you know you want this and you want to sign up, the link is in my link tree, so you can go right there and enroll now, okay? And I'll get into the details. I'm so excited about this. I'm just like jumbling my words. So day 1 is going to be all about understanding your emotional triggers that trigger you to emotionally eat and binge. We're going to dive into all the potential emotional triggers, mindsets, the pathways in the brain, all of the emotional brain pieces that are fueling and triggering emotional eating and binge eating. Day 2, we're going to dive deep into all the potential physical symptoms and imbalances going on in your body that may be triggering you to self-sabotage with food. So the hormone issues, the gut issues, the cravings, the nervous system overwhelm. I'm going to break down why and how these are triggering emotional eating for you so that you can start supporting your physical body, which is going to help prevent those triggers. We're going to go into being an empath, being sensitive to energy, how that can be a trigger for some of you. And then day 3, we're going to dive into what is the all or nothing mentality? How is it fueling your self-sabotage with food and your triggers? How are diet and food rules fueling self-sabotage with food and triggering you? And then how do we start to dismantle that? And obviously, as I go through triggers on day 1, 2, and 3, and the mindset, the negative voice in the mind, the ego that's, continuing to encourage you to binge, but then is making you feel so hard on yourself when you give in, we're going to break all that down. I'm going to help you better understand these key root pieces. So physical triggers, emotional triggers, all or nothing, diet, food rules, and the ego mindset. These are all the different things that are fueling self-sabotage with food. The reason I wanted to make this is because I wanted to really dedicate a whole focus to triggers. Because if we don't understand our triggers, if we're not aware of our triggers and what they are and the first signs of them coming up, how are you supposed to catch them? And if we're constantly focusing on control, weight loss, the scale, diets, eating styles, and we're looking over here when really we want to look over here and go, whoa, like there's this whole awareness for me to build around, okay, what are my physical triggers? What's fueling my emotional eating that is emotional triggers? All or nothing mentality, diet and food rules. Wow, all this is fueling my self-sabotage with food. This is one of the root pieces. Well, the more you can understand that, the more you can start working on catching it. So this masterclass is, like I said, 3 days and it's live. And the sessions are 90 minutes. However, if you cannot make it live, you will get lifetime access to the replays. And obviously, if you come live, you get lifetime access to the replays, because I know it's hard to match a time zone that works for everybody. So essentially the way that it works is you'll sign up. It's on early bird pricing right now. So it's normally 88 USD. Early bird price is 55 USD for these 3 90-minute sessions. This is so much value and such a freaking good deal. We're going to be spending all this time together, right? So you're going to get the 3 90-minute live sessions and replays for life. And you're going to get so much knowledge. You're going to learn so much about your triggers. You're going to gain awareness. And this is going to help you start to catch and stop the triggers. Catch and stop the trigger. Understand, what is this trigger really about? And what do I need to give myself instead of food? This is going to change your life. This is a game changer. This masterclass is gold, and it's going to help you change the relationship you have with food. It's going to help you start to gain freedom and traction overcoming binge eating, emotional eating. It is a great starting point. Okay? Awareness is everything. If you lack it, it's hard to change no matter what it is. You have awareness, you can start to make change. And this is me giving you 10 years of coaching knowledge and 14 years of healing knowledge, right? Because I healed all this myself. So I'm going to be diving into all the different triggers. And obviously I'm going to want to hear from you and hear what you think your triggers are so that I can help give you some guidance on that as well. So it's going to be a great dialogue. These sessions are going to be live in Zoom. So we're going to have the chat open. I'm going to be interacting with you there as well. So we have a 3-day, 90-minute per day masterclass happening mid-May. Okay, I don't want to like mess up the dates. Let me just triple check. Yeah, so it's May 16, 17, 18. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 90-minute sessions live. If you can't make it live, you get lifetime access to the replays regardless. So each day after the session, you'll get an email with the replay link, and you can watch them as many times as you want. So it's going to be really powerful. This is my zone of genius. This is one of my favorite things to coach on, and something I'm so passionate about that I'm helping women heal every day. And so I wanted to bring it into this live experience for you. So if you want to come and join us for Triggers, the 3-day masterclass to help you start understanding the roots of your binge and emotional eating triggers, the link is now live in my link tree in my bio. You can also DM me if you have any questions or if you want to sign up. It's $55 USD on early bird. Regular price is $88 USD. So you have just over a week to come and claim the early bird price of $55 USD. It is going to be a life-changing 3-day masterclass. I can't really say more than that. It is going to help you understand your triggers. It's going to help you start identifying your triggers, building awareness around your binge and emotional eating triggers. And when you can do that, you can start catching them. You stop using food as a coping mechanism. You stop numbing with food. You start working through your triggers, which is so empowering, and it helps you build confidence. It helps your digestion improve. It helps your energy levels improve. The brain fog starts to go away. Your PMS symptoms start to go away. Your body stops retaining so much water. The weight starts to come off because you're not in this massive stressor that is fueling all this stress in your body. So how would it feel if you could start building awareness around what your key, unique emotional and binge eating triggers are? What if you could start to gain clarity around these triggers so that you knew what to do, what to give yourself instead of go to food? How would it feel to build more confidence with your relationship with food and to stop fighting with food? This is the ticket. I really invite you to come and join me. It is going to be life-changing. It is going to be a game changer in you healing your relationship with food. So, like I said, the link is in my link tree on my bio. You can come and sign up and get the early bird price, $55 USD instead of $88, and you get lifetime access, whether you can make it live or not. It's going to be life-changing. I cannot wait to see you there. I'm going to put some details in the description below, and obviously leave a comment as far as, what you think your triggers are, what you would want to get out of this masterclass. And if you want the link and you want me to DM it to you, just let's put freedom in the comments below, and I will DM you the link. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, a great week, and I cannot wait to see you in the Triggers 3-day masterclass to help you understand the roots of your emotional and binge eating triggers. Sending you a lot of love. We'll see you there.